Two.
Yep.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Passaic County School Board Association. Flag over there. Can I ask everyone to please rise for the flag salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible. Person, you're probably, well, you can't see right now, but we had quite a few people online as well, so it's pretty exciting tonight. I just want to say tonight that we have also the 3 Rs program, so thank you for all the new board members that attended the 3 Rs and stayed behind to continue to join us. This is a really important event for you to get used to, because it gives you the opportunity to network and meet other board members who have similar challenges to your district. Everyone may be different in size, in say county. You'll find out that a lot of our challenges are very similar. So I just want to point that out that these county events are really important for your personal development, your career development in terms of being a board member. At this time, ready for the legislative update. It's going to be done virtually by Harrison Silver.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, great. Thanks for having me tonight. Top of the agenda. So we'll be ready to dump a lot of information at you really quickly. Just a quick intro. My name's Harrison Silver. I'm the legislative advocate at NJSBA. I started at the association over the summer, so still fairly new. So if I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, if you're a current member, I look forward to, and obviously for all the new members that are in attendance tonight, look forward to getting the chance to meet you as well. Sorry, I couldn't make it up there tonight. What I'm going to do just over the next few minutes is just provide a brief overview of some of the things that have been happening down at the State House in the last few months. It's actually been a busy week. The last week has been pretty crazy. So I'm just going to try to provide some info. If you have any questions on anything that I shared tonight, you're always welcome to reach out to us via email. And please always check your school board notes as well. So for new members who aren't yet receiving that, we send school board notes out each week. It's a weekly newsletter that the association sends out, and most weeks in those school board notes, we will have a legislative update that recaps anything that would have gone on legislatively in the previous week. So for those of you who do currently receive it, you'll get that this Wednesday morning. We'll have a lot of updates in there and some more next week as well. So again, just wanted to highlight a few big things that have been going on. The first big one is school funding reform. Obviously, this is something that everybody's interested in hearing about. So just a quick recap of where we are. FY25 currently, we've achieved, hit full funding of the school funding formula. We're also at the end of the multi-year phase-in under S2, that 7-year phase-in. So now that we've hit this point, we've been getting indications over the last few months from both the legislature and from Governor Murphy that they're open to changes to the formula. And to that end, Senator Vin Gopal, who chairs the Senate Education Committee in the legislature, introduced a bill last week. It's S3917 that addresses some changes to the school funding formula. This bill was discussed at the Senate Education Committee last week. It was not actually voted on. It was just discussed. So that signals that he's really trying to make sure that they get these changes right, work with the various stakeholders. So we've been in discussions with his office. We testified at the committee hearing last week. We anticipate that there will be more changes made to the bill, and it'll return back to the committee at some point to get voted on and move forward. We're hoping that any changes that do happen in the coming months, just so that we can be prepared for budget season. Obviously, any sort of state aid allotments, we don't want to have to go through that process multiple times like we've had to the last few years. So I'll just quickly highlight some of the provisions of the bill. It is fairly detailed, but just some of the most relevant ones I wanted to share, just keeping in mind that these things are not guaranteed. It has not even been, approved by either of the houses in the legislature yet. It's purely just a starting point, but just want to let you know what's in it currently. The biggest thing for us probably is a change to the property tax levy cap. So right now it's at 2%. In most cases, the current bill draft would allow some districts to go up to 7% in terms of an increase in property tax levy from year to year. So we've been talking forever about increasing tax cap flexibility. We had 1 year relief earlier this year, but this would be a permanent ongoing thing. Again, not official, still very early in the process. There's another item in that bill currently called reduction adjustment aid. This would be a new category of state aid that would essentially ensure that any decrease in state aid that a district might see would not be greater than 2% of that district's operating budget from the previous year. So it's sort of meant to minimize the magnitude of state aid cuts, and if there is a decrease from 1 year to the next. It also talks about greater state reimbursement for special education costs, and actually includes a 5-year pathway to fully funding extraordinary special ed. This is sort of like a big dream. Obviously, right now I think we're not funding close to 100%. I think we're in the 60s or 70s, even though the law says that we should be fully funding it. So just because the law says that, or a bill says that we would like to fund it over the next 5 years and get to a point of fully funding it, if the money is not there, we still can't achieve that. But at least it's an acknowledgement that it's something that needs to happen. And then finally, another big thing that's in this bill is just more transparency around the school funding formula. So indications that they want more, public, the ability for the public to see how the aid is distributed, how local fair share is calculated, and allow more public input into the educational adequacy report, which is used to plug a lot of the holes in the funding formula. So again, those are just some brief highlights. This is nowhere near done. I could see a ton of changes between now and the finish line if it does even get that far, but just wanted to keep you all updated, as this is obviously something that's critical. And it's something that we'll provide more updates on in the coming weeks and months. So just keep your eyes out for that moving forward. The next thing I wanted to briefly touch on is the Freedom to Read Act. So I'm sure that if you're a current board member, even a new one, you've heard about this over the last few months. This was a bill that was brought about in response to book challenges in various districts around the state. And that bill was actually signed this morning by Governor Murphy at the Princeton Public Library, and I was in attendance. It was a nice bill signing ceremony. This bill would record, now law requires boards of ed to have policies on 2 different things: on the curation of school library materials and on requests for removal of library materials. How this will work is that this law will go into effect 1 year from today, since it was signed today. It's not until next December. And what's going to happen in the year up until that point is the Department of Ed will create model policies for each of those 2 things, both on the curation of school library materials and the request for removal of those materials. So they'll be working on that over the next year. The NJSBA is explicitly named in the bill as one of the organizations that the commissioner would need to consult with when creating that model policy, or those 2 model policies. So, we'll be a voice in the room while that's happening. The most important goal for us over the last year in terms of this law was just making sure that the decision-making is maintained locally. So, there's a whole process in place for dealing with these things, but at the end of the day, each Board of Ed will have the final say on the final determination on whether to remove, keep, or limit access to materials. So again, that's something that happened today. I'm sure you'll see it in the news tonight or tomorrow if you haven't already. That'll go into effect 1 year from now. So a lot of work on the back end to be done before it gets put in any of your hands. The Department of Ed will be working on it, but just wanted to share that as well, since that happened this morning. One other big thing that you'll probably see in the news is regarding public notice requirements. So if you didn't see last month, the Star Ledger and several other newspapers around the state will be discontinuing their paper editions in early 2025. There's a few around the state that are closing entirely. This poses a challenge for all local government bodies, including school boards, who need to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, otherwise known as the Sunshine Law. So at the beginning of each year, you're obviously all about to go through your reorganization meetings in January. You select a newspaper to publish your public meeting notices in. The way the law currently is written says that you need a paper, print edition newspaper, but obviously it's going to become harder and harder to come by. There's some areas around the state where there just are won't be any paper newspapers anymore. So we've joined with the League of Municipalities and the New Jersey Association of Counties to advocate for changes in the law, with the goal of allowing public meeting notices to be posted electronically. So no legislation has actually been introduced to date on this. We're hoping that, again, it happens fairly quickly. It seems like there are a lot of legislators out there that understand the importance of this and the need for this to happen quickly. So hopefully that's something that happens soon. What that legislation looks like, where local government bodies may be able to post electronically. We don't know any of that yet. So again, we'll continue to update you over the coming weeks, but that's something that hopefully will happen between now and the holidays, although it's already December 9th, so we're running out of time. So hopefully that moves quickly. And then just the final thing, because I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight. I know we have a big program to get to. I just wanted to provide an update on the Educator Evaluation Review Task Force. So this was something, again, for current members that you may have heard of earlier this year. This was a task force that was created through legislation back in May. NJSBA had a representative on the task force, and essentially this came about from concerns that the current teacher evaluation system was too administratively burdensome and takes too much time away from the classroom. The task force issued their final report on September 30th. There were 15 recommendations in the final report that generally aim to reduce administrative burdens, enhance coaching and mentoring, and ensure that the current evaluation system is actually aligned with the original purpose of the Teach NJ Act, which was the 2012 teacher evaluation law. The report recommended that a working group be established to review and implement the report's recommendations through regulatory changes. So essentially, the task force came up with a list of recommendations, and that would now like a working group in consultation with the Department of Ed to take those recommendations and actually put them into practice through regulatory changes. The full report can be found on the Department of Ed website in case you're interested in reading more. And one other update on this is, in addition to creating this task force, the law that did so also suspended student growth objectives from the teacher evaluation process for the current school year. And there's actually an introduced bill that will be heard at the Assembly Education Committee this Thursday that would propose continuing that suspension of student growth objectives through the following 2 school years, so all the way through to 2027, in an effort to let this working group figure out what the teacher evaluation process should be, and any changes that should be made, and give them enough time to do that without reinstituting those student growth objectives next year. So again, if you want to read more about the report, more about this task force, that report's pretty detailed, so I'd encourage you to check it out on the Department of Ed website. But other than that, those were the 4 big things I had for you tonight. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Check your school board notes, and for those new members, be sure to sign up in January when you're able to for those school board notes, so that you get all the timely updates as quickly as you can. So thanks again for having me tonight. Hope you all enjoy the rest of the program.
Yeah. Before we move on with the program, I do want to thank Lakeland and Superintendent Udi for letting us come here tonight to a beautiful auditorium, and it's a very special auditorium for us tonight. Also, I do want to acknowledge the Passaic County Executive Committee, the fellow officers that are here tonight. We have Pete Bassford's here, Mike is also here, Harrison delegate, and also your appointment. So thank you for coming out tonight. We're on to the next section of our program. You see now the celebration of Dan Sinclair, past New Jersey School Boards Association and the Passaic County School Board Association president. At this time, I'm going to ask a couple of people to come up, and they're going to do a presentation on their experience with Dan, and then I'll open. So Larry, Jeff, Judy, and Ray.
Good evening, I'm Larry Feinstein. I was the executive director of New Jersey School Boards for almost 10 years prior to my retirement a little over 2 years ago. And during those years as executive director of the association, I served with 5 presidents, each of whom were highly motivated and exemplified incredible commitment to educational excellence. Dan Sinclair's definition of educational excellence was centered on the need for every child to feel valued. He said that kids who didn't wish to attend college were often made to feel that they were second-class citizens. He expressed to me and to others the following message, and this is a direct quote from Dan. We have to do something about this imbalance, he said. Just not fair the way students are treated after they express a desire to secure employment immediately after high school. Again, Dan Sinclair quote. His viewpoints from direct experience as an educator and father. He was a teacher and administrator who worked with career-focused high school students. In addition, one of his sons entered the workforce on graduating high school. Dan also championed the importance of apprenticeships and other forms of what he called student development within the career field after high school. His passion was contagious. We created a distinguished panel of board members and educators who spent many months developing a research paper dedicated to these issues. Here was 2018, and the task force ultimately produced an outstanding resource for districts across the state. The report and its recommendations received significant publicity and helped to change attitudes and procedures in a number of school systems in our state. Needless to say, there is more work to do. And I'm pleased to note, as many of you probably know, that NJSBA is completing an update of that very report. So stay tuned for that. Those of us who worked with Dan quickly recognized his unwavering belief that positive change can happen as long as you have commitment and perseverance. He believed in hard work, and he also believed in patience. He was a good listener, and he was always honest and consistent. Dan's life and legacy is felt every day within our schools, and his memory will always be linked to what's best for children. He was truly an extraordinary person with an ironclad value system that centered upon his family and the importance of public education. Which brings me to my last observation. Whenever the association was planning new programs and recommendations to boards, Dan always gave me a call or stopped in the office and he asked this question: Larry, will it help kids? Thank you.
Dan Sinclair in 2011 at my first Passaic County School Board Association meeting. I walked in and I was greeted by this big burly guy whose towering presence could have been very intimidating until he opened up his mouth and he revealed the kindest, most soft-hearted soul on the planet. From that moment on, I knew that he was not but a true friend to me. Tonight, I speak of my friend, Dan the Man Sinclair. So I used to call him Dan the Man. Dan had a way of making everyone feel welcomed. He'd greet you with his trademark, with a big hello, often calling out, "Hey, what's up, girlfriend?" He used to do that to me all the time on the phone. He would send it in a text or when we came to a meeting. With this big, huge grin on his face, he could light up a room. He was more than just a leader to me. He was a mentor, always watching out for all those around us and him. Dan was the go-to person for just about everything, whether it was navigating a challenging district issue, deciphering a new state mandate, or understanding the latest hot-button topic on social media. He was always on top of it. He made every issue a teachable moment. That's because he was a teacher. That was the teacher in him. Welcoming new members with open arms and making sure that everyone felt included and valued. When controversial, Dan was the voice of calm and reason, especially for me. He would lend an ear, guide you through your thoughts, and help you come to an understanding. He created a family atmosphere here at the Passaic County School Boards Association. building connections and fostering a spirit inclusivity that brought people together. Beyond the boardroom, Dan had a deep love for the little joys in life. He cherished his beloved baseball team, right? His Santa display at Christmas, he always was taking pictures of those Santas and posting them on Facebook. And of course, sharing his favorite recipes. Because we had a whole group of recipe people at our county meetings that Dan would like have to talk to them about. Breaking bread with Dan was an experience. You'd walk away with a full belly, but then you would also have 2 new tips on cooking. What impressed me the most about Dan was his unwavering dedication to non-college bound learner. We often talked about the importance of recognizing everyone's unique abilities and creating opportunities for success through trade, careers, and hands-on skills. He believed in the potential of every single child, and he worked tirelessly to ensure that every child had the chance to thrive no matter their path. Dan didn't just teach us, he inspired us. He made sure that we were all prepared, we were informed, and we were confident. Even after stepping back from the leadership, he ensured that the Passaic County School Boards Association was in good hands, setting it up for continued success. His legacy of service, kindness, and inclusivity are in the lives of those he mentored, taught, and touched. Dan Sinclair made an indelible mark on not only my career, my school board career, and so many others. He changed the lives of not just those in this room tonight and others beyond, but of countless children whose paths were brighter because of Dan. I am so proud to call Dan Sinclair my friend. And I'm looking up at you, Dan. Thank you for the friendship, the wisdom, and the unwavering belief in all of us. Rest easy, Dan the man. My cooking buddy, Kathy's cooking buddy, and Nancy's cooking buddy. I was with them last night, and they send their regards to you. Will be deeply missed, but your legacy here in Passaic County, especially Passaic County School Boards Association, lives on in all of our hearts and work. Thank you.
Dr. Tim Cornell is the Executive Director of the New Jersey School Board Association. I'll read that, and then I wasn't prepared, but I'll say a few words for that. Dan Sinclair dedicated himself to public education for his entire adult life, especially to be doing more to provide vocational technical opportunities, informed his term president of NJSBA, and his graduation say that helped shift attitudes and beliefs in New Jersey on this topic and assisted in the expansion of CT opportunities that we are seeing. But his family should know that. For myself, I've been around the association almost 27 years. And I remember, I look at it, we have some new board members here. And I remember when Dan came on as a new board member, before he was president of the county, before he was president of the association. And I watched him grow. So I'm going to look forward to seeing some of the newer board members grow as well. And how he came to a board that was divided and how he tried to work. His goal was to bring people together. And then he started changing, that he went to the county meetings, he started trying to recruit people like Judy, and Charles to get more involved. He was about self-growth for them. And the one thing we've been mentoring a lot about his dedication to CPE, he was really important to him that new board members get trained best as they could. And for those new board members here, newly elected board members, he was big on the weekend orientation, and he was a group leader, and he recruited people like Karen Portolino to be group leaders to help them. So I think he was a mentor to people he didn't even know. He just really wanted to help boards across the state, not just in Wanacue and Lakeland Regional. He wanted to help boards and students wherever he could. So I think that will be his legacy, because I remember when we brought back the new board orientation, I think Larry will remember that too. He was one of the boards who said, Larry, you got to bring it back. And Larry did. But that was important to him. is that we all. That's a great legacy for us to try to emulate. So that, and I should mention, these two presidents of NJSBA from Passaic County. The other one is some old timer. Oh, Jeff Fisher, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were still here.
30 years apart.
They're 30 years apart. You're up next, I guess?
Mine started with me. I passed the presidency of the county association on to Dan, who passed it on to Judy, who passed it on to Charles. Dan, you know, he was about. He was. Okay, he was the one that. For a longtime member of the Lakeland Board, and spoke here tonight. You know, honoring him in this room, in this building. He worked diligently to ensure the high quality of governance in our schools at the local, the state, and the national level. And I mean at the state and national level, because as the NJS president, when he went to the national conference, he was sought out on his ideas on the non-college bound. But he was tireless in that. And also here at new board member orientation. And that's a long weekend. I've done it, and it's something that you have to be totally committed to, and he was. And the best part about the end was when he was done on that weekend, they all had his phone number. And he stayed in contact and answered their questions, you know, on and on. I'd like to read a statement from NJSBA, the current NJSBA president. Or, you know, couldn't be here this evening. And this is from Karen. Dan was a mentor and supporter. We often carpooled to Trenton back, and on those trips, Dan encouraged me to apply for vice president of legislation and resolutions. I scoffed at the idea at first, but I did apply and I was elected. Then when my first term was up and I was not interested in the presidency, Dan really encouraged me to do a second term as VP of legislation. By the end of that term, I thought I was done, but there was Dan urging me to put in for president, and here we are today. I love being president, and I will forever be grateful to Dan for his belief in me and his encouragement and support. Say a few words, and then, Charles, if you don't mind, Larry, I have to go. Thank you.
Like many years, I originally met Dan, I was getting active, so. He was a friend and a mentor. You see that theme, you notice that theme throughout? So I really got to know him when he got me involved with new board member training. Again, that theme. It is an important event. And we did that together because I live in Bloomingdale, we wanted you. These events. And he also taught me to vote, like use that term, and board member. Some mechanics, you want to use that term to be a new board member. You see, teaching is not all my strengths, but I had to learn that. And Dan was good at helping me learn and develop that capability, so I can reach out to new board members and help them on their journey. He also helped me overcome some of my conditions, in terms of speaking and coming out in front of people. But being able to connect with the class is better. I do need to echo what Judy said. He was a great friend, mentor. He would help you develop, move forward in your education journey, which you've all done. Some of you are on, where some might put around. But those are the words that I can with him. So I really want to thank for Jeff. And do you want me to open the floor now or you want to wait?
What's that?
I was gonna open before see if anybody else.
Yeah, they want.
Yeah, does anybody else want to make a comment at this time? And
You're gonna want to set your other slide.
then let's move on to your.
Okay, Larry, if you would join me, Judy referenced, Dan had favorite baseball. Growing up in Foster Park, where Dan grew up, actually just a couple of blocks from where my wife grew up. It was very hard for native New Jerseyans, Yankee fans like Larry and I, to understand how Dan Sinclair would be a Boston Red Sox. I mean, it was like, Larry, I've talked about this many times. As much as we worked with Dan, it was the one fault that he had. Okay? I mean, it was literally like almost inexcusable. I mean, and this is from, my godfather has had, hopefully in the past, 5 rings for playing left field for the Yankees in the late 40s and 50s. I mean, I didn't become a Yankee fan by choice, I was born a Yankee. And that's a life. So I struggled with how I could honor Dan. In the most appropriate way. And I finally decided that it would be, I was gonna do something I had never done in my life. And say something that I had never said in my life. And will probably never again say. And I asked Larry to join me because I'm going to put this on, and then Larry's gonna direct you, and we're all gonna do a cheer. Yankee fan and a Boston Red Sox fan. Does that show you the respect and love that I have for my brother Dan Sinclair? So Larry, what are we gonna cheer?
We're going to give one cheer,
Nice and loud.
one cheer, and it's going to be, let's go Red Sox.
So on the count of 3, I want everybody nice and loud, so everybody out there in the audience can hear. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's go. I apologize, Uncle Gene. Wow, that, and I also remember that even Joe DiMaggio had a brother who played 11 years. Thank you.
I do need to thank the speaker, particularly Jeff. You can kind of tell has been spearheading this event. He's really. This point. Before the evening.
We don't normally, for those new board members, we don't normally have this many recognitions, but it's been kind of an unusual year. So we have a board member of the year for the whole state. And that's done, just to let you know the mechanics. First, someone can nominate a board member plus the state, and then we take the applications, we send them to another state school board association, Pennsylvania. They review, ask who the New Jersey school board member of the year is. This year, Charles will get into say about him because Judy and I were there and Jeff were there when he found out. So before I give him the plaque, Judy, you want to come up? I should say Judy is a former state school board member of the year.
2019.
There have been 3 from Passaic County, 2 from Clifton. It's the first non-Clifton board Passaic County board member.
As Ray said, there is a criteria, there's 4 different elements, there's exemplary leadership, there is dedication, professionalism, development, there's advancing education governance, and there's commitment to children and public education. So it gives me great honor as a school board member of the year to talk about Charles Caravello, the 2024-25 New Jersey School Board Member of the Year. He joined a very 2025. You have to go, all right? It is with great pleasure and admiration that we celebrate you, Charles, on this remarkable achievement to your unwavering commitment to education and community, embodying the very best of what it means to serve on a school board. Charles has consistently demonstrated visionary advancing education initiatives, not just locally, but also on the county and state levels. His effort has left a lasting impact, ensuring that the voices of students, parents, and educators are heard and valued. Dedication to professional development. He drives to learn and grow as a leader, is evident through his advancement as a New Jersey School Board member, a certified board member, a certified board leader, and a master board member certification. He leads by example, showing that continuous learning, advancing education and governance. Charles has actively participated in shaping policy and initiatives that strengthen educational system. Collaborative approach and dedication to innovation has made him a true champion for improved governance. Commitment to children and public education. Above all, Charles's passion for the well-being of students shines through everything he does. He's tirelessly advocating for public education in New Jersey. He's on Trenton on Saturday mornings all the time. He's always there, and he's a small group. He's always dedicating his time. His belief that the potential of every child to succeed. Congratulations, Charles. Education, leadership, and passion inspires us all, and we're fortunate to have someone like you as a champion for the future of education. From the bottom of my heart.
Had the honor of being the person, the board member that nominated Charles as board member of the year. And it was a very simple choice, something that I wanted to do. Worked with Charles. Long enough, first he came on the Bloomingdale board, but then when he got involved as a vice president at the county level and then president. And I just want to point out, was mentioned that Dan and his involvement with new board member orientation. Charles was also a leader, he's committed to that. And he has done so many things both in his town of Bloomingdale, where he started the senior student bridge program, which brings children and the seniors and creates a bond between those two sections of the community, and many other things that he's done. But I just want to read one sentence directly from his superintendent document. In the words of the Bloomingdale superintendent, Dr. Michael Garcia, every action Charles takes ensures that we as a district are both for. I've always felt that way myself in every action I take on my board. I'm sure you do too. I saw that in Charles. He inspired me to do the nomination, and I was thrilled. I'm going to keep it short because this is actually the third time Charles has been presented this class. Once at his local board, once in Atlantic City, and we wanted to do it locally here for our county tonight. Okay? I think you have
a couple things. I remember when Charles came on the board too, so don't look my 11 years ago, 2013. So that was a short time ago. But I remember because I was at a Morris County meeting, and all of a sudden Charles came in. This is before we had all the virtual meetings that are all in person. He goes, yeah, I work in the area, and it's actually not far, so I'm going to do additional training. And that speaks to his character. I mean, and he did that on a regular basis. I knew him from Morris County. But I think out of all the school board members of the year. Very understated. When we, Dr. Purnell does something, it's kind of cool. We surprised the school board member of the year by attending their board meeting. Jeff, Judy, myself, Dr. Purnell, and a few other people came. And the look on Charles's face when he won the award was like, actually, when we walked out there, he's like, he had no idea. He didn't know he was even nominated, actually. Like completely flabbergasted. And actually, I was trying not to laugh too hard because the look on his face was priceless. But he just didn't think that he should get any type of award. Very understated. So on behalf of New Jersey School Board Association, we'd like to present to Charles Caraballo, Bloomingdale Board of Education, Passaic County, in recognition of your exemplary educational leadership and dedicated service in the advancement of public education in New Jersey, and is in October 20. Well deserved. Congratulations.
Look at their reaction.
You know,
Yes, and it's like a rubber band action. Sure. Now, we can see that that's part of the fun. I just want to say a few words, a little bit common tonight. In the evening, I received it. It was a shock. What you don't realize is, out of sight. Really focused that night. We're a small town. We had like 3 times the number of people in the audience when they walked in. Not for that event. We're going through referendum. It's a little controversial. So we had a little bit of a hot topic that night. And of course, they show up that night.
They did on purpose.
Yeah, thank you.
Wanted a crowd.
Yeah, so we wanted a crowd, right? So we had like twice the number of people on Zoom that watching that event, but it was really nice. But the other point is, I didn't realize how exclusive a club this is. I mean, all the board members of the year, besides Judy, come up to me and just remind me of all the things I have to do now. So there's a pond nearby, you can walk on it without sinking, that kind of thing, you know? Yeah, I gotta learn the way, like you said. So thank you again for the honor. It's, I guess, my fear, whatever term you want to use, is they won't live up to it. But I think it's good. Other people can learn about it because maybe people don't know what it means to be working. Responsibilities, as Judy pointed out, that we do need to share, how we got to this success. And maybe you can inspire and help other board members on their journey. So again, thank you for everyone participated, particularly for the surprise that evening. It was really, really outstanding. Okay. Moving on, at this point, Alan, can you come up and give us an update, board of directors?
The last board of directors meeting was Friday, November 15th. First discussion was NJ SBA finances. Audit for fiscal year 23 reflects positively on the association's business and financial operations and was unanimously approved by the board of directors. Concerning workshop 2024, the workshop was a resounding success. The conference had more than 8,700 registrants, 450 training sessions. Feedback received from member surveys has been overwhelmingly positive. Dr. Purnell also received emails directly from members. The survey indicated that 97% of attendees would recommend workshop to new board members, and more than 75% of attendees plan to return in 2025. The Unsung Superheroes Awards program is in its second year. This year, 12 individuals who work tirelessly behind the scenes and are often overlooked will make a lasting impact on our schools and communities we're celebrating. Star Ledger ran a nice article on the program and noted not all heroes. Some heroes on orange safety vests, hairnets, and or practical coveralls, like the dozen school district staff honored late last month at the New Jersey School Board Association's Unsung Superheroes in SBA website. Since the last meeting of the Board of Directors, NJSBA officially introduced its new website on October 1st. Some new features include more intuitive navigation, enhanced search functionality, and a new topics section curated to include a range of NJSBA information resources on 21 topics: finance, AI, career, technical education, and school facilities. Concerning training and board resources, on October 1st, NJSBA's labor relations team held the Full Labor Summit. The association continues to provide regular mandated training opportunities for members. Board member orientation programs are scheduled for the weekends of January 21st. Registration for these programs will begin on January 2nd. NJSBA is working on an update to the board's self-evaluation tool. This is the first revision in 15 years. Changes in the new version include having boards look closely at their board goals and assess whether they have achieved the goals, and having boards assess the contribution members have made to the whole team. Testing of the new self-evaluation tool will take place in December, with a rollout scheduled for January. Welcome Dr. Nicholas Diaz as a new deputy director. Dr. Diaz was previously the shared superintendent of Franklin Township School District and Union Township Schools in Hunterdon County. Nominating committee of the NJSBA Assembly. A 13-member nominating committee will recommend one candidate for each of the offices of President, Vice President for Finance, Vice President for Legislation. Directors on November 15th appointed 4 members to serve on the NJSBA nominating committee for 2024 through 2026. A section that included Hunterdon, Morris, Somerset, Sussex, and Warren counties was Diane Morris, Morris County. Area, which includes Bergen, Essex, Hudson, Passaic, and Union counties. Michael Sprague of Bergen County was elected. In the central region, which includes Burlington, Mercer, Middlesex, Monmouth, and Ocean counties, Victoria Hala of Ocean County was selected. And in the southern region, which includes Atlantic, Camden, Cape May, Cumberland, Gloucester, and Salem counties, Marcia Hirschman, Camden County was selected. The county association leadership elected or represented at its November 23rd meeting. In January, the NJSBA president will make 4 at-large appointees upon the advice and consent of the board of directors. Current president will serve as a non-voting member.
After all, not doing it. You have to drive down to Trenton. Person meetings Friday night. So hats off to him and your alternate for doing that work. But this time we have Cody Mitchell come up to give us an update on the field service.
So very inspiring. Our newly appointed board members, aren't you inspired by those stories? I
sometimes when our work is very difficult, like, are we making a difference? And we can see in kind of what Dan did, that we make a difference. So thank you. Really quick, because I want to get onto our program, just a couple of our board self-evaluation, I'm super excited about that rollout because it has been quite some time. And we've all done that as part of our board retreat. And this is so that we can really focus on the things that truly matter. So your governance skills. A couple of, I know that all of you have looked for statewide regional credit, so I just wanted to give you a couple of dates that aren't. So that you can get that statewide regional credit. We are on March 14th, on April. Just talked about that in our field service meeting, and it sounds really exciting, and there's going to be a student component to it, so I'm really super excited. So those are going to be those statewide regional credits that you need for your certification. And January is ethics month, so if you haven't invited me in yet, schedule. And that's about it. So a lot of our program.
Dr. Janine, acting superintendent. Serving as a principal beginning in July 2017. Dr. Duck taken a multiple earning her ED at Centenary University 2019. She is a mentor in New Jersey Leaders to Leaders program, served as a member of the New Jersey Principal Supervisory Board of Directors, president of the Warren Hunterdon County Principals Association. She is the president and founder of Warren Hunterdon Women in Education. She's also a certified trainer and coach for becoming your best global leader. She began teaching in the doctoral program at Centenary in spring of 2020 and serves as a mentor for postgraduate students while completing their dissertations. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Duck up. Now, as I read her background, this first of all, you can't help but be impressed. I only gave you the tip of the iceberg of what really is her full background. I just didn't want to take the evening up because we have a program, but she has amazing background.
Thank you. So first I want to say that it's not fair to put me at the end after all. The things that I do with the leadership group that I go out and consult with is talk about vision. And you're going to see a little bit of this at the end of this presentation today. Yes, but part of the vision work that I work with leaders of all levels, including boards and leaders in general, is your vision should be your legacy, right? So, and I have presented at school boards before. I presented this past fall, and I presented in some movement. Not the same thing. So sitting here and listening, that's his legacy. So when we sit here, and when I sit here and come out and work in this capacity, this brings me joy. I want my legacy to be like that. I want people to talk about me as an educator, that I care about kids and that I care about my community. Sitting here going, wow, this epitomizes what I teach all the time about legacy and recognition that you have here. The other funny part that I'll add to this is, yes, I'm a professor at Centenary, and Dr. Nicholas Diaz was in my class, and he was in my dissertation class, so I'll be sure. I think he said that he was tired of the red pen. But he's a great addition for you. He is a phenomenal leader. I was so happy for him when he took on this position. I've known him for a few years, so I wanted to get these things out before I actually start my presentation. So yes, I do have a history, I guess. I can't believe how long I've been in the world of education. So I'm in year 27 right now. So my academic journey started at Moravian College, now Moravian University. A funny story I tell about that, which will give you some perspective into me and what I do right now, is my original major was not education, and it was international journalism, study languages. I actually ended up being a Spanish teacher, so I stuck with the language piece. But I finished there. I went into a special ed classroom for an educational psychology class, and I changed my major that semester. And here I am, 27 years later, as a public educator, and I never looked back. I attained my leadership degree at East Stroudsburg University, and then I went on to seminary and got my doctorate there. Is that my dissertation was on the importance of career and technical education, especially high schools that are not vocational schools or county technical schools. We need to, and I believe 100%, that we need to offer paths and avenues for all of our students, because not everyone's a 2-year college graduate, not everyone's a 4-year. So I'm going to talk about with you. I did start at Phillipsburg High School as a Spanish teacher. I was the director of curriculum, middle school principal. I went on to Northbourne to become a high school and a middle school principal. That's a whole separate 30-minute presentation I can do managing that. And then I was promoted to the superintendency in Bergen County. Some of the other things that I do is the leadership piece with Becoming Your Best. Because of that, I founded my own LLC. I'm currently the president of a newer association in New Jersey called New Jersey Association of Educational Leaders. I am the founder of the Women in Leadership Group in my area of the state. I'm president of the Warren Hunterdon County. So I like to share that background anytime I come out, because I'm not just a superintendent. I am not just a principal. I am what I consider a growth leader for anyone that's in the educational world, because I have a little bit of experience in all different areas, which may be why I was invited tonight to present out here in Passaic County on some very important things. So what we're going to talk about tonight, and I can't help but be the teacher that I was. I would love interaction whenever we can have it. And I know that we do have some people here that are in the audience. So if there's a prompt that you're willing to respond, that would be great. If not, I'll just move on. Why public relations, social media, and technology matter. So if you look at each of those topics, they really could be a 45-minute to an hour discussion or presentation. And I'm going to kind of talk about all three of them and how they merge together. But at the end, you're going to see that all of these together for board members, for superintendents, for leadership, for staff, it's about relationships and it's about kids. So I'm going to try to bring that full circle towards the end. So I'm going to start with the social media piece. And I know over the years, we all have evolved as school districts as far as how much we utilize the technology of social media, which is why we're saying it's harnessing social media. Get a little bit into perception equals reality. So we all engage in social media in some capacity. And I would love to go off on a tangent and talk about word of mouth, about school districts and about associations and things like that. But I am going to really try to stay on point here and talk about social media. But perception does drive reality. So we have to figure out a way to tell our story, right? Because if we don't tell our story as a school district, as a leadership team, as leaders, someone else is going to tell our story for us. So we have to kind of engage in social media in a positive manner, even though there's a lot of negative out there in the media and social media, right? So we have to take responsibility to tell our story before someone else tells our story. it's just not, I can come over there and do it.
I'll just sit.
You sure?
Oh,
Yeah, next one. So some of this presentation is pulled from other presentation I've done, and you'll see that these are samples of what typical negative press looks like for a school district and some of our employees and our leaders, right? And although some of them may be true, there is probably more to the story than what's just being discussed in social media or on social media. And as board members, which predominantly I think everyone in the room is a board member or a former board member, you know that sometimes what is publicized is not the whole story, right? But you also know that you're bound by some confidential. You can't engage in conversation with your constituents. And by the way, I am remiss for not thanking you to begin with for the service that it is truly thankless. I don't think people realize what you do as board members. You're here tonight in this room, or you're online right now. When I'm sure all of your holiday shopping is done, and you have plenty of time to do this, right? I know I have not bought one present anything for the holiday. So obviously you care deeply about our kids and our school districts, no matter where we're from. There's no difference to where you are right now. So I did want to thank you for your service there. On to the next one for me, and the next one, I kind of already said that. So I want to talk a little bit about building a community and engaging, right? So this is data from my school district. So we are in the midst of a communication plan that we're going to share with you at the end. Parents use our school info app and Facebook to stay like up on news and things that are happening in the school. I'm going to share with you how we've increased our participation as a school district in that to get the positive out and kind of silence that negative, right? Our students, of course, are using Insta, Snapchat, and about 10 other things that I probably don't even understand. It is really hard to keep up with what our kids are doing. But in our data and interviews with kids, talking with kids, they're still using that. They say Facebook's for old people, right? I'm like, well, that's pretty much the only thing I do. So I guess I'm really old. And our community, the greater community, not just the school community, will use X, right? And they will still use Facebook. Fewer and fewer people are going to the district website proper to check on announcements, right? But we have integrated everything in our district, so if it goes one place, it goes. A lot of places are doing that, but if not, that might be something that you want to file away, so you don't have multiple people adding multiple things, okay? Did I do that?
yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about, how we increase our engagement and turning over the negative that was happening in our school district from years, from decades long. And then, of course, through this thing called COVID, if you've heard about that in the education world, it was a little challenging, right? So what we decided to do is target very specific highlights from the school district. And I was looking around, you probably saw me like, this is crazy woman doing, looking at the screen. I love seeing what other school districts are putting on their announcements that run through the school. We do the same thing so that our kids are seeing those highlights and they're seeing themselves, they're seeing their friends. But this was a big change for us because we also had, I would say, staff and even some leaders that were kind of afraid of the social media thing. And I'm going to get into AI today, which is just absolutely just staggeringly difficult, right? So we did make some changes, and it has been a very, very positive change for our school district, and it has helped us to start changing the narrative a little bit, changing our story. Sorry. And these are just some other examples of what we are doing. So we are posting information like a bell schedule change. We're posting everything to our website, and it's also going to our social media outlets. So whichever one are getting the same information. So I'm also going to talk a little bit about branding. which again, is something that many districts are doing, and I have of my school district, but of a local school district, on what does branding mean? And one of the things that you would not be able to tell from the little kind of pictures I was showing you, the positive things, is when I was the principal at North Warren, and actually it was Dr. Sarah Bellotti was the superintendent at the time. She and I were discussing, how do we streamline this? Because everyone had a Twitter, Facebook, people were posting things all over the place. We decided that we needed one venue, one hashtag, one brand, so to say, that it was consistent, all right? So that's what we ended up doing. We also ended up hiring a kind of staff member that was a PR person. So we set goals for ourselves that every day there's going to be a positive post about classroom instruction, or there's going to be a positive post about athletics, all students based. So we're doing great things as a district. Our board is making great decisions. We're making great decisions, but the parents and see kids, right? So we have a very, very specific focus on kids. So branding is really about relationships, but it's about getting your name out there as a school district. It takes a little bit of time to a specific example. When we have sports teams that design t-shirts for special events, some were using, we're still not doing this 100%, so please don't take this as if you came to North Warren, you would just, if you want a brand, we are in the process of a strategic plan of this. Some would have a Patriot logo, some would have NW, but the NW would be a different NW. It didn't have a standard like, oh, that is North Warren Regional in Warren County, right? So working together with our constituents to brand, so when you see it, I know that's that school district, right? So that's what we're talking about with branding. And it does take a lot of work with your stakeholders to come up with what that brand is going to be. So we are slowly rolling that out in my current school district. So simple ways that you can start branding is to do these things. So if you have a specific logo, some districts want to change their logo, they want to change their mascot. That's not something that you do in isolation. That's not something that you make a decision with as a board. That is a collective. So that goes into what that branding is when you maybe switch to this in your school district. And then I have just a couple of examples of it, if you want to go on to the next. So I'm stealing from Mercer County Tech. So they went through the brand process. And so as you can see, their logo up in the top left is going to be their logo everywhere. So this goes even as far as letterhead, letters that go out to the community. If there's any, I don't know, community events that are coming in. So it is one design logo. So that doesn't sound like it's a big deal, right? But it kind of is when you're promoting that brand district. Instead of just saying North Warren Regional, right? You have that logo, you're including it in everything. It then becomes a little bit contagious to the point where your students pick up on it, your staff picks up on it. So these are just examples of how Mercer County did this. And then these are how students are using the brand as well. So it doesn't look like much, but we got our step and repeat in the back. And then you have your t-shirts, your shirts that you're wearing all have the same print, the same color. It's the brand, right? And then you can hardly see it, but you can see that on the table. Everything is promoted as the brand of Mercer. So that's just an idea for you. Again, it's in depth. It's a lot of work to do that, but it is a great way. And how does that lead to? Because social media is all about your brand, quite frankly, right? Because when you're posting or you're looking at posts, you'd be able to, in a positive manner, insert that brand for your school district. And then these are your typical ways, right? So if you have giveaways, if you have pens that are at your front desk, whatever it is that you do, you can do your branding logo and whatever it is there for that. Again, a lot of districts, We have posted Facebook Live, YouTube videos, live streaming of events when they can be. I will actually throw out a shout out to my former school district. I was a student at Phillipsburg High School. With Easton in Pennsylvania for a football game. I happen to live in Easton, Pennsylvania right now, so it's kind of comical. But they live stream their pep rally for the community. And when you come on, and I was thinking about this because I knew I was doing this presentation, their brand, their logo is on the YouTube channel before the event starts. And then there's also information, I'll go to this website. It's done very, very well there, so I will have to call them and compliment that. So I kind of already discussed this, and I will have a time for you to ask questions, but I think some of this is what a lot of districts are always doing, so I want to spend a little. We do this, but we've only been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, which has made a difference for us, which if you post things on your district website, on your social media, you have an amazing technology coordinator like I do in my district, it does go everywhere. There's even a community news that I produce through this, it's called SMORE, that goes out, that's in here as well. And you can subscribe to that newsletter as well as a community member. So anytime I send one out, it goes to the fire department. It goes to every venue of people who have signed up for that newsletter. So this is the important part that I want to talk about. So we want to build a community, we want to increase engagement, but with that comes risks, as you may know, right? And I am going to share a very specific thing that I do. I'm not recommending that you go back to your districts and tell your superintendents to do the same thing. But I will tell you that it has stopped. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say, please don't do this as a community member or a board member. You can go on to the next one for me. So this is an old tweet and it still stands. It appears on our district media, and essentially what it's saying is be nice. If you're going to comment or you have a comment, we have to turn off comments. They're moderated now because, as you can imagine, you may not have very nice things to say about specific people in your district, and then that becomes a board issue and a superintendent issue for life. So we do try to remind our public that this is the venue for positive communications, right? This isn't for you to air a problem that you have with someone. So again, it goes back to relationships. And I promise this is all going to come full circle in a couple of minutes. Go on to the next. We have technical issue here. Wait, maybe this will work out.
Yeah, you did that.
I did.
Yeah.
That one.
There.
That one. So what I do, and my team kind of makes fun of me because I call them keyboard cowboys. They will write things that they will never come in and talk to you about. They'll never even bring it to your attention as board members. They surely don't bring it to my attention as a superintendent or the principal. So you don't need to read this, but essentially what happened was there was a post on social media and it was for like a rant page, so to say. And there was just a plethora of inaccuracies on this post from a parent that posted it. And then there were multiple parents and people that responded. And it was just negative, but I knew it was wrong. I knew it was inaccurate. So I said, how do I address this? Because I'm the leader of this district. I need to show that I'm going to address this in some capacity because you know we have that kind of like rule, right? I emailed everyone that was on that posting that I knew. And I essentially said the things that are in this email. This is my exact email that I sent to them, what some things were down. If you have tried to reach out to a teacher and they didn't respond, please call me and tell me who that staff member was. I need to address them. if an administrator did not respond to you, I need to address the administrator. Please call me and give me details, right? And then I linked it in red to what my personal goal is as a superintendent. And the goals that I have as superintendent are actually our district goals that are technically like board. There to say, we are not living up to our vision as a district. And then I did say, I believe these are inaccurate in some capacity, right? How many of the 6 or 7 people that received this email from me contacted me back to meet with me? 0. The only thing I got was a negative response saying, or respond to comment on my social media page. And I thought, I'm winning, right? Because what they are posting was not accurate. They didn't. That we are looking at this. And this was brought to me. I'm not scouring social media. I don't have time for that. But when our staff members or our board members see this and they say, hey, Julie, what's up with this? Do you know anything about this? I'm like, no, but I'll find out for us. And then I report my information, my findings back to our board president, right? Because that's what our protocol is. 0 people wanted to come in and speak to me about this. So it's catching on that if they post that, they're probably going to be called out. And here's the other thing, and this is truly, if any of this was true, I need to know that. Because I don't want it to spiral out of control, right? So this is where social media is extremely a positive force, but then you have to balance it. Negativity that can be out there. Not everything is addressed. But when you're saying my teachers aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, my leaders aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, I either need to know or I need you to fix that on. This could be a very long conversation. So I'm going to jump into my next segment unless anybody has any questions. Anybody have any questions on that first segment?
That last slide, was it a blast back to all the parents or the 6?
6, because not everyone would deserve that email from me. And they were all copied separately. But it was the same email pretty much to all of them. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so preparing students for the 21st century. So this is our little segment on technology in schools. AI is scaring everyone, right? And it's scaring us as superintendents, it's scaring us as teachers, as board members. I think it's just scaring us as people in general, not even related to the education world, right? But when I was putting this together, I decided to come up and do some research for us, right? So technology is changing and it is changing rapidly. And we have all known that. There's no one in this room that doesn't know that. We all have those amazing cell phones, right? We have Siri, where we talk to Siri. We have so many that we just didn't know it was called AI. But these are, statistics that are coming out of research. According to OpenAI analysis, AI model training costs have been doubling every 6 months to a year. So I specifically picked out some of these photos because it does somewhat date how old I am as well, because I do remember the telephone on the wall. I remember being in college, there was a telephone in the hallway, right? And then I also remember there was no email, there was no internet. You had to go to the library to do your research, right? There are people heads here in the audience for those of you that we didn't have this the way that our students have it today, which means we need to be aware of it and we need to be cognizant of it. I will admit, my entire doctoral studies, I never stepped foot in the library. Interlibrary loan is now digital. I had books in front of me. What does that mean for kids? We need to talk about that when it comes to curriculum, program development, and training our students. And that's what's very important for us as leaders and for you as board members. And I just decided that, yes, I grew up with that phone, and yes, I pay the extra $5 a month to answer phone calls on my watch. it's incredible, right? That show Get Smart. Does anybody remember Get Smart? We thought that was great, and I'm doing it right now. Okay, you can go on, thanks. So what's this new technology, AI? And I am not an AI expert. Please do not leave here thinking that I have the answers for AI, because I am navigating this just the same as every leader. Working with teachers on what we can do about this and getting a plan in place. I'm going to show you. You're not having conversations about this. Right. So I highlighted the 1997 because that's the only one I remember. So that's 97, 98. I'm a college student, right? So I remember this happening. Did I know it was AI? Did I have any idea that 27, 28 years later, I'm going to be up here addressing artificial intelligence in my school that I'm the leader of now? No, I had absolutely no chance. But what I'm showing this to you for also is you can see that elements have started in AI, right? All the way back in the 40s. But there's a difference between the left side and the right side of how exponentially it is changing right now. So yes, tinkering around in the 40s, right? But look at everything that's changed since 2017 to now, which means it's not coming, it's here, right? So we need to talk about what we are going to do about that. So there are studies being done on post-secondary students. How often they are using AI in their studies. I can guarantee you, I could not find a statistic on this. Schoolers are doing this, and so are middle schoolers. And some of our elementary school kids are doing this as well. It will write you an entire research paper with citation, asking to in a middle schooler's voice. So you can type in a prompt for AI and say, write me a 3-page essay on photosynthesis, and it'll spit out this scientific paper of 3 pages. Then you can say, please write that through the eyes of a 7th grader, and it will rewrite it, and it will rewrite it with mistakes and errors. It is scary, right? So we have to talk about this because our kids are using this very naturally, and it's not a total negative thing, right? This technology is not a total negative thing if used properly. Social media, think about that, and the internet was designed for connection. That's not what it evolved into being, right? But AI can be a great support for our students. I use ChatGPT. I use other elements. And it is a time saver for a leader as well. I have written specific professional letters where I write it, I put it in and I go, wow, yeah, I missed that part. I need to put that in. So it can be a tool for assistance. It can be a tool for help. It shouldn't be a tool for grading them, right? It shouldn't be, we have to be cognizant of kids not learning what they need to learn to be successful in. So what does this mean for schools? This is where if anybody has a comment or something interactive for me, this would be fantastic. So what are your thoughts? What does the use of AI, that we're past talking about Chromebooks, we're past talking about Zoom. We did it, we've been there, we've done that. Can we do better? Better in schools as an educational tool instead of just teaching kids? Should it remove the teacher? No. Does anybody have any thoughts on what this means for you as a parent, as a grandparent?
My daughter is applying to college and has no idea how to write.
College essay.
And so I told her to use ChatGPT to get an outline. Doesn't like it. And or AI writing say interviews, right? So she doesn't like AI. She's like, I don't. How do you write this letter?
Yeah,
and she's still really.
so,
But I think that using AI for like to guide students in how to write a paper using the outline, I think that's very helpful.
you're tugging at my heartstrings right now, because one of my slides is what can teaching kids what to use it for, what not to use it for. Train staff, how to have a process as a school district on implementing. So yes, that is true. It also does provide inaccurate information as well. So there's a lot of fact checking that has to be done, but for simple guidance for how do I start a college essay, and it could give her some information on that. But I also kind of like that she wants to not use it again, because she wants to do her own thing. Does anybody else have something?
This is the first time.
Yeah, assisting the student, not doing the. It is so powerful, and I'm gonna show you the website and some of the resources that I'm currently using, and again, there are people way more versed in this than I am. Team approach to this. I experimented with this to design my curriculum for school finance in the doctoral program that I teach. And I said, course, 3 hours. Grade, here are the standards, here are the topics, give me a curriculum. Give me a curriculum. And then I can go back and say, no, here's my project. I mean, the power behind it is astronomical, but we don't know enough about it yet to how it's really going to work in the school system, but there are definite. But as far as what impact is it going to have, we have endured so many changes, so much what I call chaos in the education world. The state is constantly changing the names of our. It was NJSLA, NJGPA. We had PARC. I'm just trying to think of all.
GEPA.
GEPA, that was when I was still teaching. HESPA, that was when I was teaching. So things are constantly changing, right? So this is just a little representation that NJ asked. Desktops, cell phones, so many districts are talking about cell phone policies, right? And there's a debate across the country on whether kids should have their cell phone in class. So forth. So I think what I'm trying to say here is we will adapt and we will adopt as school districts because that is what we do, right? There are policies, there are draft policies out there for AI. From Strauss SBA that I've been looking at. We are not adopting them yet as a school district because we're going to wait and see, you know. And as we start laying out what AI looks like in our school district, because we need to better prep our kids and our. So this is the AI implementation roadmap that we are following, and we are literally at step 1 right now. Previous, how are you seeing students use it in your classroom? How do you feel as a leader about using or looking at this? So I heard a wonderful speaker from AI for Education, and then I ended up gravitating towards this woman who did the Hunterdon County superintendents. They do a retreat every year, and I kind of started doing what she did, and these resources are all free. And it's literally AI for. So the recommendation as a school district is to follow this pattern, right? Establish a foundation. So you're going to have a task force. You're going to have a team. It should be all constituents, not just your teachers, not just your leadership team, right? And then you're going to staff develop. We are talking about professional development always with our staff for best practices. We can't not address AI in the classroom or AI in our curriculum and programming. Get them involved. We have to educate our students. We have to educate our community. you as board members need to know what's really happening out there in the education world with this, and what assistance can I offer to my superintendent, to my school districts, asking questions, being involved. Assessing the progress. So how did it work? Is it not working? This is a long process too. This isn't like December, we're doing step 1, January, we're step 2, 3, right? This is a very, very long process that you can engage in with your, some of you may already be doing this, or your school may already be doing this. So, especially out east here, from where I am, that are already AI. And those are the superintendents who I'm learning the most from right now. You can go on to the next. So what I really love about the free resources is you can pick focus. Is working with our students on what you see to the left. So getting our leadership students, getting our high achieving students, getting our middle. Teaching them what is okay to use for AI. What should you not be using AI for? Start having those conversations with our students. I have already had students use AI for research papers and get flagged for plagiarism because our teachers are smart enough to say, that doesn't sound like Janine, right? That's not how she talks in class. She doesn't answer questions like that normally, and they're running it through AI themselves and they're finding it. There are other things that we need to educate our students on as well. And one of my former students, phenomenal student, she got tagged for plagiarism in college, even though she did not plagiarize this paper, because when she submitted it, AI already picked up on it and used it themselves. And then when the professor went back and checked it, it came up as a plagiarized paper. It's insanity, right? And how do you defend that? So we need to talk about some pitfalls with our students as well. AI in Education 101. That's for parents. So when you're working, and many of you are parents, like I just said, my daughter, my kid, right? We need to educate our parents on this. That it's coming as well, right? So there are tips and guidelines for parents, as well as students, as well as staff. And then I lightly touched on this, but there will eventually need to be an AI policy in school districts, right? Think about acceptable use policies that I know as a teacher of the principal of local school, we just introduced one-to-one computers, right? Get what we had there now, I feel like that was a lifetime. Because we didn't have one-to-one computers that kids could take home. We had to draft that policy. That cycle now with an AI policy, but that's something to look at as a board member for the future. AI will replace teachers, but teachers who don't use AI will be replaced. I think in every single work I've focused on over the last probably year and a half of my professional career, I go with AI. This has been said multiple times. Will AI replace teachers? There is no replacement for teachers in our classrooms right now. If you are stagnant and you're not willing to consider it, you're not willing to teach kids how to properly use it, then you are going to be left behind as a professional. And this is what I am talking about with my staff. Yes, it's scary, but we have to educate our kids for their world, right? I refer to it as 22nd century technology. I feel like we've been talking about 21st century skills for way too long, and we're still not hitting on 21st century skills in all of our content. So I'm framing it that we, as teachers, need to know more about it. We need to use it. We need to model it. That way we can help our kids. We can help our staff. This is my final piece. So we talk about social media, we talk about technology. Now it's kind of the public relations piece, right? Where do all of those things intersect? Go on to the next one. So I want to talk a little bit about traditional means of communications that used to go home Even as early as my principalship at North Ford, we were still sending them a paper newsletter. So we moved to be doing newsletters on Slack because people were used to receiving that mailing, which was costing us a lot of money. There was the earlier presentation on state aid. I was one of the losingest districts in the state. For us too, we lost $4 million in 7 years. So we had to look at cutting things as simple as newsletters, right? We cut staff and we cut programs as well, but that was one thing. Canva is the program that our staff member who does the daily highlights for our school district with the students and so forth. We use Canva for that. It goes directly out to our website, out to our social media. I'm currently using the school info app to daily announcements that go to anybody who signs up for the school info app, your school districts might have it. They get a daily reminder, a daily calendar, my emergency call-offs, any big news goes directly to people's cell phones, right? Where before it used to be the old phone chain and then everybody would call each other back in the day. So these are the intersection of still processes that we also need to. Of what we do now is technology based, right? Except that we have those face-to-face meetings. Go ahead. These are just samples of communications that I send to our board and then out to our community as well. So I do a weekly board update. There is always a positive highlight when I'm saying. Always has something to do about something phenomenal that a staff member is doing, something phenomenal that a kid is doing, or an initiative. Those get somewhat edited that then go out to the community. That everybody is seeing the updates from me, but the everyday highlights are coming from the staff. Social media. So that has enhanced our positive communications. The middle school turkey Olympics, those are 3 of our middle school teachers and that were referees for the middle school turkey Olympics. And then facility updates, that one would really go out to our whole community as well. So that is technology, but I'm going to show why that's important because of the relationship, which is the basis of everything that we do. So this is our ribbon, not a ribbon, but right below our ribbon on our website. It changes throughout the day with positive updates. Those are all done using Canva with our staff member that does it, and then it circulates through. And then you can go down further on our website and you'll see, the calendar or updates that need to be on there, information where parents or community can go to find who they need to speak to. Keep going. All right, so in the last piece here, I want to bring it all back together as to how it is about relationships, community relations. So everything that we're talking about is about social media and technology, but social media and technology have no basis if there's no relationship with your communities. And you know that more than anyone as board. So I also earlier talked about vision and how teams, whatever provisions. And I'm not going to read these to you. Statements within these vision statements that were written by the leadership team and then the vision. And within these visions, there is something about communications and connections, right? And to me, it's really about the relationship. It's about the relationship that we have. Like we always go back to this. If you go back to the email that I shared with you in that red highlight, that's pulled directly from a book, right? And so that is one way that we keep everything kind of all coming together in our district, everybody working for the same thing. So the outcome of working in that capacity with our highlights, with our staff, with our programming process that we use, the outcome was a new strategic plan that was 2 years in the making in the district. I know that doesn't sound like it has anything to do with what my topic is here. That is the strategic plan on our website. That is the actual cover of the strategic plan that is accessible for anybody in the district or in the. So what we ended up doing here is leading into that strategic plan is every one of my leaders has a personal vision of themselves as leaders. Think of it as their legacy, like we were talking about, Mr. Smith. What's your personal legacy as a leader? And then we have leadership goals. We have team visions. I showed you an example. We have team goals. End up ending in the strategic plan where the leadership team all came together and we're all working towards one vision, one goal. You can go on to the next. We are not going to review all of these because I can't even read that and I'm standing right next to it. But if you look, there were 5 main priority areas of our strategic plan. This is very, very in depth. The only people who have access to this level is the leadership team and every board member, and every new board member gets a copy. The tracking document on where are we at in hitting the goals that we have set as a community for the strategic plan. Communication and community engagement are 2 out of the 5 areas. We also have academic programming and finance and facility. But if you look, you just go back real quick. If you look back, it'll say communication, district representation, host biannual community input sessions to provide opportunities for feedback, obtain a calendar of community meetings and events so that we can send a representative to major community events. Okay, Mrs. Murphy attended the Breakfast for Santa in Blairstown, and we that our school community is involved in our community, right? So that's one example of the community engagement, and then the next one should be communication. So one of the main areas is the district-wide plan for internal and external communications. So we have an idea of what we do, who communicates to who, how it communicates, the chain of communication, we call it. But we're really refining that through a brand new communication plan, which involves things like the social media aspect and the newsletter aspect. Going to broadcast, what kind of things are we going to keep more confidentiality issues that we have? We can't put everything out there that we want to put out there, but we want to put as much out there as we possibly can. So our community communication is part of that longer range strategic plan. And just to show that we have a focus on that communication and how we want things to go. This involves surveying on to use Facebook. How do you get your information from the school? How would you prefer to get your information from the school? And it's almost the same survey that goes to the staff, students, and the parent and guardians. That's a lot of information. On your slide, when we go with responsibilities, I didn't see anything on. So this was designed. That's an excellent question. So the board plan. They were members of the strategic planning, but it is not the board's responsibility to do the goals of the strategic plan. That's our responsibility to do that. Now, boards have their own goals, right? So that is an excellent, that's an excellent. But what they have involvement in is twice a year they get an update from me. And this is an old screenshot of if we're in progress, not starting. So they all have access to the school document. So. Anything else? Yes, the last slide is just any information. So thank you.
Yeah, I have it now. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, there was one question online. I'm sorry. Understanding that school board members have to be very careful about what they post on social media regarding their district, and that they don't get directly involved in telling the district story via social media, branding, website, etc. Can you clarify what what the Board of Education's role is in telling the district story. Is it basically a matter of supporting administration in this endeavor?
What, how we talk ethics is how, as board members, you kind of can't post certain things on social media, right? So the way that I look at it is the board telling the district story is sharing that positive that is coming out of the district. There's no reason to say that board members can't post something positive about being proud of what's going on in their district and highlighting things like that. But for the most part, yes, the answer to that question is supporting the administration and supporting that story. And a lot of times for board members, I know in my experience, it has a lot to do with those face-to-face interactions that you have in the community. When someone comes up to you at the grocery store and asks you a question, you know, and you say, oh yeah, I saw that negative thing on social media, but you know, don't believe everything that you see. But how about the great things that we're doing? So part of what we do at the social media piece, that is how we address that. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it this way. Judy and I are almost opposites. Give you an example. How often do you post on Facebook?
Well, during the election every day.
Every day.
3 times a day during the election.
3 times a day. I
Now,
never
like,
post, but now I'm learning I have to at least read. Because there's a lot of stuff out there that you need to be aware of. In case it's misinformation, you have to prepare the
I
counter.
don't share my stuff.
I know you don't share
I don't share
misinformation.
board stuff, I don't do that.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's just funny, so
I don't-
we have a really broad spectrum in this room, but it's kind of like the AI, right? You have to adapt to it, or you're gonna be left behind. So that's a simple example.
Like, the superintendent is crazy. Okay, you know, or I make the wrong symbol. We don't address that. We address when they're targeting. I address. Address, not the board, Janine address. And it's a negative perception of a staff member, and I know that it is not absolute.
And this is a journey too, because as board members, we may be more at risk. As I say, so again, bring it back to ourselves, as board members, sometimes we may be more at risk. We get engaged in a Facebook conversation, which then turns into a debate. And that's kind of the risk that we have. So one of the things we're trying to develop is ambassadors, and so you use that term. And we were going to use ambassadors to go out and promote the good things, right? But now we're finding it very useful to countering the misinformation. That then doesn't need for the board members getting involved, getting dragged down into that debate. So that's something that we're learning in our little community as well. We probably all experiencing the same thing. Right, we're getting near the end of the session, so I'm just gonna remind people very quickly. Our next meeting is January 29th. Next year, so far off, basically 5 or 6 weeks from now. It's gonna be a virtual meeting, so it won't be in person. And the topic will be the importance of charter schools in public education. So I'm quite sure we want to learn a little bit more about that topic, so please feel free to join for that one. February 10th is the deadline for nominations. And some of those nominations. I think that's Rob Spearhead in terms of getting the nominations back to process them. On Saturday, March 1st, the deadline for 2025-2027 State County School Board nominations. So we are term limited, just in case you're not process here. My term will be up. We'll be looking for new presidents, new vice presidents, new different cycle for the delegates, but that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. So keep in mind, when I get involved, it is educational, use that as fun, but you do learn as you become involved in the process. It's very useful. Now then, Monday, March 10th is a very special night. I really want you to put that in your calendar marker. It is our Passaic County, and we do this jointly with the Passaic County Education Association, Unsung Heroes Award. The reason it's really important, it's one of the things I've learned over the past couple of years, the importance of celebration. And tonight, we celebrating Dan. The importance of that is it makes you stop, reflect, it kind of makes you think about what you've done and helps you look forward. When you listen to some of the stories these students have overcome in their lives, it will transform you. It transformed me 2 years ago when we had our first one. It is an amazing program. You really get involved, you learn about these students. It's really a great event. And we're going to be hosting it at Manchester, who's very kind enough to host us there. And they just redid their auditorium, so it's going to be a fantastic evening, just to let everybody know. Thursday, May 29th is our hybrid county meeting at Mario's Restaurant. Two speaker celebrations again that evening. We have the county teacher of the year, and this year we'll be celebrating Bernadette Orcita, experienced teacher at Chester Regional High School. So those are some of the events we have coming up. Keep those on your calendars. They're all really nice and really very special. So first, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Also thank everyone that joined virtually. Everyone have a happy